I will call to order this April 7th meeting of the Manchester by the Sea Conservation Commission, operated under the auspices of the Wetlands Protection Act of the Commonwealth and also Manchester's General Wetlands Bylaw. Our mission here is to protect the wetlands and to serve our neighbors, many of whom have logged in. Welcome, everyone. A few ground rules before we get going, which is to say that this is a virtual meeting under the continuing rules and regs of the state. And that means that we are recording on Zoom. And if you prefer not to appear, just shut off your video. It also means that in order to be recognized when public comment is appropriate, if you have a question or a comment, you need to either raise your hand. I'll do that. Yeah, that works. Physically, or hit the raise hand button somewhere on your Zoom screen. When I recognize you, please give us your name and address or affiliation, and then try to limit your question or comments to 2 minutes and address them to me. In addition, we'll hold all of our votes tonight by roll call, and we will ask you not to use the chat function except for technical questions. If you have a substantive comment or question and put it in chat, it will not become part of our permanent record, which we would prefer. So having said that, let me call the roll and we'll get underway. Commissioners first, Dr. Olga Hayes.
Here.
Dr. Henry Ottinger.
Here.
Mr. David Lumsden.
Here.
Dr. Gordon Turner.
Here.
Good to see you. And I'm Steve Gang, and I will be chair tonight. And that is 5 of us, meaning a quorum is present and we can proceed. We're also joined tonight by our conservation administrator, the talented Bethany Barstow, there in the Zoystera. Is that, and what kind of grass is that?
I don't know.
Open
Kentucky
teal grass.
blue.
Neither do I. Eelgrass. No, it's too, looks like Spartina. But anyway. And also our town director of land management, Mark Resnick, is somewhere in the crowd here. Welcome, Mark. All right, those are the preliminaries. Now we will call the meeting into public hearing and begin with notices of intent. The first of which is 2 Old Neck Road, Mass DEP 39-949. Kimberly Cafferty, trustee, and the project is proposed new additions and improvements within the 100-foot buffer zone. Is there someone here tonight to summarize this for us?
Yes, good evening. This is Bill Manuel
Welcome,
from
Bill.
Wetlands and Land Management. And thank you for taking me out of order and putting me first here. I'm in Western Pennsylvania, rural Western Pennsylvania, and I had to make arrangements to be find technology to be able to conduct the meeting. So I appreciate it. I think everybody on the commission was around in 2023 when we first brought this project to the Conservation Commission. And Bethany, if you can help me out, if it's possible for you to put the plan on the screen, and I'll keep talking. The commission approved an order of conditions for improvement of an outdoor cook space area, a pergola over an existing terrace. And if people remember, there was a portion of the backyard that was maintained lawn, but actually had hydric soil in it. And part of the order of conditions and the approved plan, we converted that area or restored it to planted mitigation area. And since 2023, so there's the plan, and this shows what is proposed today. Off on the right side of that sort of pinkish area where the cursor is right now is the existing terrace, and there was to be an existing cook stove off to the right side. And the work was in the no-build zone. And to mitigate for that, we did receive a waiver. To mitigate for that, over on the far right of the screen right now, there was 4,200 square feet of plantings that were proposed to support our waiver request. Now, the project kicked off in 2023, and the owners immediately installed that 4,200 square feet of mitigation, and that is in the ground. It's been in the ground now for about 2 years or so. It is marked with signage, and there is a line of boulders at the edge of the mitigation area to demarcate it from the remaining lawn. And I was only able to see it without snow just recently. Things appear to be healthy and still viable. And there is a requirement to do monitoring there, and we will continue on with that and then make sure we get the monitoring reports to your commission. But since that initial mitigation effort, the project has been sort of reimagined and reduced in scale. And so now the outdoor kitchen is no longer being proposed. Remember, there was a pergola that was going to be installed over an existing terrace that's outlined in the blue. And then there was an existing raised patio that we weren't doing anything. That was off of the lower front corner or the lower back corner of the house. And what they're going to do is actually in this proposal, demo that and create some more living space in that area. It's about a 16 by 16 by about a 16 and a half square addition with enclosed living space. And just above that on the plan, there's a light blue area that is a new outdoor rinse station. And then Bethany, if you would scroll over to the front of the house, there's a front covered porch and a side stoop and with a covered roof. And so we want to connect that with a small area of roofed porch so that you can come out of the front door, be completely undercover, and go down those steps and head over to the garage or the detached garage area. So that's a small, roughly 5 by 5 square. So the upshot of this is the work that you proposed and approved, or the work that you approved in 2023 has actually been reduced. We had shown 779 square feet of incursion in the no-build zone in 2023, and that's now been reduced to 602 square feet. There's actually a reduction of about 50 square feet in the 50 to 100 square foot buffer zone. And work is actually pulled about 2 feet further away from the edge of that hydric soil line, that line of boulders there that demarcates the new mitigation area. So it's generally unusual, at least in my experience, that the mitigation gets installed first. Generally, it's installed at the end of the project, but here it is, the owners, fortunate for us sitting here today, the mitigation's been installed and in the ground for 2 years. And now we have come with a new notice of intent with less work, and would like to apply that mitigation to the work that you see before you in substitution for the work that you approved. And what you see before you today is actually less than what you approved in 2023. So that's the extent of my presentation this evening. And if the commission has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Are there questions or comments from the commission?
I have a question. What is proposed now for that pink area?
The pink area where the cursor is now was going to be a hardscape terrace. We considered that to be a pervious. Well, we consider it to be a pervious feature, and there is a detail of that in the upper left-hand corner of the plan. It'll have basically flat stones like bluestone, but they'll be bedded on rice gravel, and rice gravel swept in the joints, so that it is in fact a pervious feature. So that's the extent, and that's been reduced by that about 177 square feet from what you approved in 2023.
Hey, thank you.
Henry? Henry, did I lose you?
Nope. Thank you, Steve. Thanks, Bill. All of us are probably happy that the mitigation is completed. And the order of that is entirely up to the applicant, obviously, and they chose to do that first. I have a broad philosophical question. It's really for the commission, and it has to do with whether mitigation is creditable and transferable between cases. So I thought about this a little bit today, and it seems to me that the applicant is treating the mitigation a little bit like a gift card I got on my birthday. I got a gift card to Target. And I was real happy about that. And I went and I got a couple things at Target, but there was still a balance on my gift card. So I put that in my sock drawer and I still have it's still there. But maybe in a year or two, I'll go back and I'll get something else at Target. I don't know that mitigation kind of falls under that same category, which I think is what we're being asked to consider. So I'd love to hear like other people's comments about that. And then very quickly, I'm just going to mention, Bill, there are a couple criteria for amendments versus new NOIs. One is neutral or less adverse effect on the resource, and you're telling us there is less adverse effect, which is terrific. And the other is substantially different. So are you telling us that the project is substantially different, Bill?
Well, Bethany and I wrestled with this, whether this could be an amendment or not. And the owners are obviously very anxious to break ground quickly this spring. And so we did not want to run into a situation where we said this could be an amendment because it is less work. It's more or less the same. The terrace and the pergola and the fire pit are exactly what was proposed, but there is components of this project before you today, such as the addition that was not discussed in 2023. And therefore, the safe path was to file a new notice of intent. And yes, we are hoping for some credit left over from that gift card from 2023. That order of conditions is still open. And then hopefully that credit can be applied to the 2026 application.
Got you. Thank you for explaining that, Bill. And I see why that decision was made, and okay, I see why the decision was made. Last thing I'm going to comment on is I lost it. I totally lost it. Okay.
It'll
What do
be back.
commissioners think? It'll come
David,
back.
in the meantime, then we can go get back to Henry's question.
Bill, can everybody hear me?
Mhm.
Bill, I would suggest that you have a dream job if all your presentations are this easy and well managed. Henry, to follow up on your analogy, it seems to me that this might be like going to Target to purchase something, but you never purchase it, and you have that credit to utilize. So I believe since the work was never done, that Bill and his client should be entitled to the mitigation that we applied in 2023.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. There's not even a whiff of some kind of bait and switch here where the gift card was given so you could get something for your mother, but instead you go out and buy a sports car. That's not the case here. It's essentially the same or very similar project location impact in terms of impervious.
Yeah, and
How
I
do others
totally
feel about
agree
that?
with David. I agree with Steve. Just to muddy the waters further, the one reason I'm kind of stuck on this is that would that mean, if we say this is fine, would that mean that any applicant with who has done a mitigation project but maybe only did half of their work can come to the commission and say, well, I still have, some credit on my mitigation because I want to add this work to the project? That's what I'm actually worried about. And I'll be quiet now.
I'd have to see the facts, but I guess that would be a closer question, partly on the arithmetic. Is the mitigation substantial enough to qualify for the ratios? What do others think? Gordon, you have a take on this, or Olga?
Just curious, what's the plan with the other NOI that's outstanding?
So with the other NOI, we want to make sure that the mitigation effort, it's still open. We want to make sure the mitigation effort is successful and there is a monitoring component with that. And so we owe the commission some reporting. Once that is, the reporting is done, the commission is satisfied that it is successful, then we get to file for a certificate of compliance.
Yeah, it seems cumbersome, but I agree that's the right way to do this. So keep both NOIs open. One of them applies only to the mitigation, the other to the current proposal. Therefore, each will need a certificate of compliance at the end.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Anybody in the public want to comment on 2 Old Neck Road? I'm seeing none. Is the commission ready to vote on closing?
Sure.
I'll move that we close Mass DEP number 039-0949 to Old
Second.
Neck Road.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor? Gordon?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Henry?
Aye.
Olga?
Aye.
And I'll make that unanimous. The chair is an aye. Thank you, Bill.
All right, thank you.
Just a procedural matter. The commission want to discuss special condition, perpetual conditions now, or do you want to put that toward the end of the session?
Steve, we put some special conditions on the original proposal. I would sure like to see those before we.
Use that as reference for the draft. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bethany.
Yep.
No problem.
Yeah, can't slip that by Bethany. She's watching. Why don't we leave it off then and go on, leave it for later and go on to the second notice of intent, which is a continued one for 44 Norwood Avenue. Number 39 applicant is Nicholas Stengel. This is proposed remediation of the foundation and construction of additions with associated activities within the 200-foot front area and land subject to flooding.
Steve, your voice is breaking up again. I wonder if you could come a little closer from the moon to us.
I'm holding up the thing that is supposed to be microphone right in front of my. Is that any better?
That's worse.
It's worse. Okay, back to plan A.
Can't hear you at all.
Yeah, Steve, your audio is out. Steve is also frozen. Oh,
I understand.
no, we heard that.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I apologize for the garbling. I'll speak slowly and clearly when possible. So this is for 44 Norwood Avenue. Nicholas Stengel proposed remediation of foundation construction of additions within riverfront and subject to flooding. We've been back and forth a number of times around issues of slowing in floodplain and structural integrity of the.
Steve, I wonder
bit.
if shutting off your camera might help. We're still not hearing you.
Okay. Isn't that any better?
A little bit.
I apologize. And I have no excuse. I'm not in Western Pennsylvania. Maybe we'll let the applicant or your representative who's here tonight to lead us to the latest iteration of this. I see Nick.
Nick,
Yeah.
Good
You're on,
evening,
Nick.
Commission. Yeah, Nick with 44 Norwood.
Okay.
Are you asking for a update on what's proposed tonight?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I should bear in mind that the materials you sent in came in Friday. So
Mhm.
I, for one, have given them as thorough a reading as I would have liked.
Yeah, I can give an update. In ongoing involvements with the structural engineer, we have made small change to the vertical addition and kind of envisioned a more desirable horizontal addition for us, and that comes in with different impacts that I'm hoping the commission sees as permittable. And all those changes have been accounted for in my letter of revisions. I can start to go through those, or if there's specific questions.
Is
Could
there
we
a
take
plan
it,
for us to look at?
I'm sorry?
Is there a plan to look at or just letter?
Yeah, I can show the plan. Let me try that.
Okay. I gave you permission to share.
You see it now?
No,
no,
There it goes.
oh, there it is.
it's here.
All right, I'll start with the first page. To sum up, the horizontal addition is being expanded to meet in line with the new vertical addition, and go slightly past the existing deck. The existing deck would be slightly expanded to match that new line. And the dimension of that horizontal addition is 22 by 16, and the deck would be expanded to meet that 16-foot line with a set of stairs down. And kind of in tangent with that would remove the rear shed that was previously proposed. There's a couple other small pieces, but the total impacts have been reduced, except for there's about 60 extra square feet within the 0 to 30 no build zone. And so that the total impacts are approximately a third, more than a third reduced. But because this is attached to the existing building, those impacts can't really be pushed further away for addition of this size and the goals that it's looking to achieve.
Gotcha. 90% of the house, old and new, is within the no disturb 30-foot zone, right?
I don't have an exact figure, but even more than 90, yes. Yep.
Just for the record, I'm not sure there is a 30 and a 50 foot zone around Riverfront. Bethany, am I right there? I think we have a 100-foot inner riparian and another 100-foot outer riparian.
I think you're right.
Chair, the reason I broke it up to 30 and 50 is because of the way that Manchester's laws bring down mitigation calculations, and I thought it was it's constantly throughout been laid out that way.
Okay.
All right, keep going, Nick.
All right. Yeah. Tell us about structural changes, please.
Okay, yeah,
Especially
so the only real structural change is that previously the size of the vertical addition was 24 feet going north-south, and now it's going to be 22 foot. So it kind of moves that column line, support line 2 feet further away from the brook. That's because of an internal sewer pipe that's in the way of actually using the 10-foot support line. I have a letter from the structural engineer speaking to the how everything's works with him structurally for this vertical addition and the horizontal addition. And as I said in the letter, I'm working with him throughout the project, and work will continue with him. There's some other small changes. I proposed as a new door along the driveway. I've put mitigation for that there's one stair tread that will step into the driveway, and I've slightly increased the size of the refuse shed. That's all I have, unless there's some specific questions.
Okay, questions or comments from the commission?
Yeah, I have both question and a comment. No questions and a comment, just comments. Thank you, Nick. I just want to remind, I needed a reminder. So for the commission, like our primary concern was the any additional load on the stone walls that were lining the brook. And the letter from the structural engineer, civil engineer, I think, confirmed that is acceptable. And then I believe, and Nick, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the changes that you've made since, so I think the updated was like April 3rd, new plot plan. Same engineer confirmed there is no additional load on those stone walls. And that was something that I for one was, concerned about. So I think that I think Nick has provided what we asked him to do, and it seems okay to me.
I agree.
David, why don't you
Patrick,
comment?
David?
Oh, sorry, Steve.
I do have a comment. Question for Nick, and maybe for Mark Resnick as well. The proximity of this building looming over the high stone wall concerns me still. If in the process of building, or perhaps before or after, that stone wall collapses into the brook. It's a very high stone wall. Whose responsibility is it to rebuild that stone wall safely so that the house is protected and the town is protected from the consequences of a wall that could dam Sawmill Brook? Who's responsible for that? Could either one of you answer that?
I mean, I think the property owner would be responsible. It'd be his wall that collapsed, and the commission would have to review any emergency repairs or anything that would happen at that time. My question is, is there going to be any work done to the wall or any extension or change to the wall to allow this addition? That's what's a little unclear to me. I know I don't get a vote, but in discussing this with Bethany, it was a little unclear if that's being rebuilt or if that's just you're going to use the exact same wall and do nothing to it.
Go ahead, Nick.
As a background, phase one of this project is stabilization and foundation remediation. As suggested by the geotechnical engineer, he suggested that I first mortar the existing stone wall under the house and add drain pipes every 3 to 4 feet, and all that's spec'd in the drawings. And then the second part of that is to add cast in place foundation under the west wall where there is no foundation. And then third phase would be it was pointed out by the geotechnical engineer that the wall that's under the existing deck it has seen way better days. So part of that is to rebuild that section under the deck before rebuilding that deck.
And although I haven't reviewed all the plans, because that's what Bethany does a lot of, but my question is, are each of these construction details shown on the various drawings that you've submitted? And what is the area of impact? Because depending how you build a foundation wall with a frost wall or a spread footing or however it's done, you can impact a much larger area than just the 18 inches or 2 feet of the thickness of the wall. So is all of that detailed?
For overall disturbance levels, yes, there's a sheet on the drawing about disturbance, but when it comes to showing the length of the wall that will be within the scope, I have this section shown here, and then for the foundation immediately along the brook, that will be cast in place and supported on either side using needle shoring in that section right in between the existing gravity stone wall to be rebuilt and existing gravity stone wall, mortar voids and weep holes added.
Now, is that going any closer to the brook, or are you supporting it from under the house?
From under the house, the needle shoring will be done mostly from under the house, but one end of that beam will go out into the yard, not closer to the brook, but a couple feet from the brook.
Okay.
Yeah, Mark, one detail that was picked up by the geotechnical engineer is that the wall that's load bearing, the wall of the brook that's load bearing currently, is mortared at the top, at least dry laid at the bottom. the rest of the brook wall, which continues west on that coast for a little ways, is just dry laid stones and shows signs of subsidence and some disruption from frost heaves and such. So it would not be appropriate to add any load beyond the section that's any new loads to the wall of the brook other than where it currently bears load. Yeah, you can see that in the lower right here.
Mm-hmm.
And the geotechnical engineer was fairly detailed in recommendations about how to improve the existing stone wall that's going to continue to bear load with weep holes and repaired mortar.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We come back to the reliance actually on your load analysis, which was also the case for the engineer. His line is that a load analysis provided by you indicates that the load on the wall after completion of the renovations will not exceed the existing load. So we will probably put that in the order of conditions and ask you to have some kind of engineering supervision to make sure that it continues to be true.
That's fine, Chair. And I double checked with the structural engineer. He reviewed the load analysis and thought that was encompassed in his letter. And if you need a letter specifically stating that, then I can provide that.
Yeah, the wording was a little suggestive that he had not looked at your load analysis carefully. So I'm glad to hear that. That is a good first step. And then presumably, in order to pull the building permit, you'll have to demonstrate that as well. The other issue that I raised had to do with the stability of the new foundation under conditions of flooding. I certainly hope that doesn't occur, but it's a reasonable expectation that one of these years Sawmill Brook is going to overtop Norwood again, and your property could get wet. Can you just describe how the foundation is designed to cope with standing or moving floodwater?
Yes, sorry. The new horizontal addition is proposed with flood vents.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's one of the changes that was made as part of this.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
A piece that I missed to state is that the rationale that I got to of making this horizontal addition bigger was to use the crawl space underneath it as the usage that I had for the rear shed. So in order to make any usable space down there, I had to lower the top of finished floor in there from the 2 foot plus base flood elevation to adjacent to the lowest existing grade.
Mm-hmm. I guess my final question is, how will stormwater be conducted off the roof? Are you planning gutters and leaders, drip edges? How will that work?
I supplied a roof drainage plan that shows the new gutters on the horizontal addition that will link into the dry well that I have proposed.
Great. Thank you. Anybody else on the commission have a question, comment? Anyone in the public have a question or a comment on 44 Norwood? I am hearing none. So is the commission ready to close this hearing?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'll hear a motion.
I'll move that we close 0390937 for 44 Norwood Ave.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Olga,
Aye.
Gordon,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
and I am an aye as well. It's unanimous. Thank you. Nick, good luck with this.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll hang out for the order of
Yeah,
conditions.
we'll do conditions in a little bit.
Yep.
This brings us to our third notice of intent, DEP file 39948, Tappan Street. The applicant is the town. DPW proposed surface and utility improvements within land subject to coastal storm flowage and a 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. Nick, are you here tonight?
This is Evan
Nate.
Van from
Nate's
DeRosa
here.
Environmental here. I'm
Thank you, Evan.
Nate's also here from the town of Manchester DPW, and so is Brendan Pyburn from Bobreck Engineering. I will share my screen. Okay, so this is a town project for the proposed surface and utility improvements of Tappan Street. We have a DEP file number 0390948. I did talk with Pam Merrill from DEP. She is the analyst on this project, and she confirmed that she was not going to have comments for this project. So sure, all of you are familiar with Tappan Street. It's a small residential street right across from Masconomo Park. There is a BVW off-site. Portion of the 100-foot buffer zone does extend onto Tappan Street, but not the no build or no disturb zone, so just the outer 100. And then there's Coastal Bank over here. The 100-foot buffer zone does not extend to Tappan Street. However, elevation 10, the floodplain does. So this is where the bordering land subject to flooding is. And then again, BVW with the 100-foot buffer zone is up here. And instead of sharing the plans right now, I wanted to share the town map of the utilities just because I think it'll be easier to visualize where everything is. So all these lines on here are the town utilities. So you can see most of them are within the Tappan Street roadway. But if you see this green line, this is the drainage pipe. And then again, over here, if it loads, there's a drainage pipe that also comes off underneath the building at 34 Tappan as well. So there are a few sections of the drainage pipe that are not within the roadway, but they are all subsurface. So everything will be returned to existing conditions after implementation of this project. And then I will share what the project is. So we will put erosion controls up before any work starts, and then install the utility bypass system so everything will remain working for the duration of the project. First step is to trench Tappan Street to replace remove and replace the existing sewer line, water main, drain pipes, and then we will be abandoning the drain pipe that goes underneath the 34 Tappan Street. And in order to do that, they'll just cover up a manhole or abandon a manhole and then add another one on the Tappan Street. So everything will be rerouted from underneath here to along within the roadway. I should mention too that everything flows down this way from C Street to Beach Ave. And then this part of the project also involves installing a tide control check valve and a stormwater treatment unit. That's both at the Beach Ave end, which is towards the 8 Tappan property. And that is to improve the stormwater management on site. So no salt water can get into the pipe. And then all stormwater that flows down into that area will be treated before discharging ultimately into the harbor, which is huge improvement since nothing exists now. Next, they will remove and replace the electrical conduits because there's going to be all new street lighting along Tappan Street. Then they will use a reclamation machine, which is pretty cool. That basically recycles the existing surface of Tappan Street, puts it into this machine, and then we're able to reuse it for the new reclaimed roadway. Then they'll do the binder course, new asphalt berm, remove and replace the sidewalks. All areas that were previously disturbed will be lumen seeded and stabilized. And then, of course, painting the street lines and buttoning up the site. So everything will return back to existing conditions, only improved after the end of the project. Yeah, so I do have the site plans too, if there's anything specific you'd like to go over, and I can answer any questions.
Any questions from the commission? Henry? You're muted.
Hate when that happens. Thank you, Evan and Nate and whoever else is here for the project. I noticed that your report didn't cite the Coastal Vulnerability Action Plan that was finished a couple of years ago, and which basically talks about how frequently this area is underwater and will be underwater in the future. And I'm wondering, of the construction sequence 1 through 12, are any of those taking into account flooding?
In what way? So,
well, in the way that I would use different structures and fittings and connections for something that might be wetter than something that should be normally dry.
So one thing, this is Brendan Pyburn with Bulbrook Engineering Construction. One thing, in addition to the Tide Flex, the check valve, obviously that's the finished product, to control the backflow from the harbor. All the manholes on, Evan, if you want to go to the site plan, that first cross-country drain run, all of the manholes, this sheet right here. So all the structures within this area will have gasketed bolt-down covers to eliminate any potential of surcharge coming out of those structures, which will further protect this area from any backflow from the harbor, which currently is uncontrolled and backs up into these backyards along Tappan Street.
Yes, it does. Okay, so that's great. Is that the only consideration for flooding in that case? That's different from a typical another street in Manchester project?
I think
So I
the
think within the
combination.
context of this project, being utilities based, I think the area we're working on there, the flooding starts, basically on Beach Street. So within this project, I think we're implementing with the Tide Flex, the bolted covers, we're controlling water into that area from that way. Looking at controlling water that's going to be overtopping Beach Street is a much larger project that, and again, we'll have to get to after this project, but we also need to do the utilities on these streets first before we would do anything, of that magnitude to control water, overtopping Beach Street.
Yes, if I may, I don't think Henry was referring to controlling storm flow. I think he was referring to the resilience of the new utility structures, connections, etc., in the face of likely saltwater flooding.
Yeah, so the pipe we're using is water main is C900, which is what we use on all of the, ocean or harbor adjacent streets, which, prevents the deterioration due to the salinity in the soils. all the pipes. Sewer is plastic as well, and so is the drain pipe.
Yeah.
So, from that standpoint, we are. I guess, is there something specific you're looking for?
No, it's
No,
not
just your, go ahead.
your
Henry.
expertise, Nate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, really the genesis of this project. So on the sewer side, we had attempted to cured in place pipeline the sewer in that area, because it's old cast iron, very deteriorated. We were seeing II come in when we were doing our studies, our monitoring, and eliminating II is one way to control the flows going to the wastewater plant and, what is mandated by DEP. So when we went out to CIPP line, we found that the pipe was too constricted, being 6-inch cast iron, was not able to be lined. So that basically pushed us into having to do a remove and replace. Again, on the drainage, that's more predicated on getting the drainage pipe out from under the cold storage building, but also, it wasn't a great cross-country run through that wetland, and being able to maintain our system better. So with installing the tide flex valve and eliminating the ocean and tides coming up the pipe, we can, less silt and debris is going to get in when the tide's coming in, it's stirring up, it's surcharging the manholes, it's stirring everything up. Then it's going back in out to the harbor. So by also doing the sediment removal system that we're going to place upstream of the tide flex valve, will be able to eliminate a lot of the suspended solids that would be coming from the Summer Street area, Tappan. This drainage area goes all the way up to the Weems, in the Weems conservation area, and obviously discharges right into the head of the harbor. So anything we can do to eliminate sediments and debris, trash, what have you, from discharging right there, I think is important to do.
All right, that sounds good, Nate. Thank you very much.
And then the
Other
water,
comments?
I guess, to finalize, the water is, 120 years old, cast iron, heavily tuberculated. So just, time for replacement on that as well.
Got it.
Thank you, Nate. Other questions or comments from the commission? How about from the public? Any questions or comments? Mr. Nahadas.
Yep. Hi. So Harry Nahadas, 8 Tappan Street. So, we're kind of right in the bullseye here on this project.
Ground zero. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so there's so diverting the water that flows under 34 Tappan Street down the main street, where does it go? Does it then go in the pipe that goes through our property on 8 Tappan Street?
Yes.
Correct. Yep.
And so are we changing that pipe too?
We are, yes. So we'll be upsizing that pipe to accommodate the new flow.
The pipe that goes through the length of our yard?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Geez. So I didn't know that. I thought, that wasn't communicated.
I apologize. We'd stopped by one time. You were not home. No one was home, but you have been on our list to reach out to and talk to. But everything, anything we disturb will be replaced in kind or better. So your driveway will be completely redone. Any of the grass or anything that we impact behind your house we will restore to whatever you would like. We did move the pipe slightly north to stay away from all the trees, not wanting to impact the root system of those trees, as much as possible. But if we can set up a meeting to, discuss as well, that would be great.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I had no idea that. Okay. All right. Yeah. So Nate, would that be with you? Is that?
Yep. In the DPW office.
Okay. Probably. How about like next Monday? Would that work?
I'll have to check my schedule, but generally, yes.
Okay. All right, I can call and confirm later, but
Okay.
and in terms of the tide, you refer to it as a tide flex valve. Is that the so-called tide gate that we used to have?
Yeah, so there was a flapper, what we call a flapper valve on the exterior, on the outfall of the pipe that deteriorated and fell off. Who
Right.
knows how long ago?
Right.
This is those. If we replace that, you would get into Chapter 91 permitting, which is a headache in and of itself. They're hard to maintain. So we've elected to go with an inline check valve that will go in basically into the pipe 2 manholes upstream, just before the downstream of where the pipe comes from your property. Yeah, you can see it basically between those 2 manholes. So we have a manhole upstream of it and a manhole downstream, so we can do necessary maintenance on it.
Oh. Okay. All right. And then would this go through 48 Beach Street as well? Are you replacing that, the pipe that goes through there?
Just to the extent of the installing those 2 manholes.
Yeah.
So we'll tie into the existing pipe just downstream of the southern manhole.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, it'd be great to get together. You know, one question I had that maybe we can answer it when we talk. You know, have we sort of done a calculation that the additional volume of water that's now going to go from under 34 Tappan Street into the main pipe and then through our backyard, you know, can the pipe handle that volume? Yeah.
Yep.
That's the question.
Yeah, so we went through that exercise, and obviously I'm happy to join in that meeting too whenever that
Yeah.
comes to fruition, and we can discuss all the design elements and what went into it. But we did upsize the pipe to accommodate the additional flow coming down Tappan Street.
Okay. Okay.
Good
Yeah,
question.
part of it
Thank
was
you.
I didn't realize you were replacing the pipe through our yard. So I was like, okay, you replace the pipe on Tappan Street, make it bigger. But if you don't make the pipe bigger in our yard, we're gonna have a problem. Right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Good. Anybody else in the public have a question or comment about the Tappan Street improvements? All right, commission ready to vote to close this one?
Yes, I'll move that we close 0390948 Tappan Street, Manchester by the Sea.
Second,
Second. Thank you. All those in favor? David?
Aye.
Gordon?
Aye.
Olga?
aye.
Henry?
Aye.
And the chair is an aye as well. Thank you one and all. Brendan, Nate,
Thanks all.
Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item I think we're going to pass over. It's a notice of intent at 18 Boardman, which actually we did open the hearing last time, so we can proceed under that. DEP has raised a number of fairly fundamental concerns about this, including how it was filed, and the applicant has asked for a continuance so they can fix those things and submit some new information. So could I hear a motion to continue this to April 27?
So moved.
Thank you. All those in second, I'll take one of those as motion. The other is second. All those in favor, Gordon,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Olga,
Aye.
and that leaves me, and I am an aye as well. All right, we continue in public hearing into a request for a determination of applicability on 355 Summer Street. This is a continuation for Stephen and Carolyn Kelly. Proposed native woody plantings and invasive species removal within the 100-foot buffer zone to coastal marsh and land subject to coastal storm flowage. I think nothing has changed in the design of this. Is that correct, since we first heard it and conducted a site visit over the weekend?
Correct.
Right. So, commissioners, let's
And
have your opinions about this project as proposed.
I also brought Chris Wood, who's the certified arborist who's going to be doing the work, so he can discuss more on the planting bed if you have any questions about it.
Jordan,
And
sorry, one sec. Could just identify yourself and
oh, sorry.
organization, please.
I'm Jordan Folds with DeRosa Environmental, and I'm
Thank you.
representing the client.
Thanks.
Good. Thank you. Yes, I may have a question for him. Because I'm still concerned about the necessity for adding a berm to the buffer zone. Seems to me is a terrible idea unless it's absolutely necessary to produce the intended effect, which is, of course, cosmetic. So it strikes me that a berm is, I'm unlikely to agree with a berm, but I'd still like to hear the argument that says it's not possible to choose species that you can plant in grade and remediate the soil. Any other concerns for Chris before we turn it over to him?
Steve, I was just going to say, I'd like to hear Chris's comments before I make any comments or have any additional
Super. Let's do it then.
questions.
So Chris Wood from Heirloom Tree and Shrub Care. So we do a lot of planting, primarily in berms because of how successful berm planting is. Judging by the site and the previous planting efforts, which was before me, the previous planting was not particularly successful. So bringing in some enriched soil in as part of a 10-inch high berm or planting bed would improve the success of the planting, and converting basically grass and some failed plantings over to a native species shrub area for local birds. But I have found in terms of freshly laid soil, root distribution seems to be far more successful than simply. So actually, can I share my screen?
Sure.
Sure. So let's see, screen. So I did. Let's see if I'm successful. Okay. Well. Okay.
I also have the plans if you want me to share them as well.
Okay, that'd be perfect. Yeah. Basically, so it's below the outdoor swimming pool. So the quality of the soil is poor, presumably from the backfill from that swimming pool from a long time ago, and we just ultimately are looking to improve the planting conditions. I mean, an alternative, if you're strongly opposed to the berm, because we were going to bring in soil, plant, then lay wood chips over the whole planting area to basically retain moisture over the root system and buffer and provide nutrients to the planting area. An additional option is to bring in enriched soil and enrich each planting site instead of raising any grade. And bear in mind, it's a 10-inch berm or planting bed that is proposed at basically the foot of that hill coming down from the pool.
So
how long is that berm? 10 inches high, and how wide or how long
So-
and stretch?
So the solar panel, I think is it 60, Jordan? Or so it'd be basically a 70-foot run to capture either side of the solar array. And this is
So in-
primarily to screen from Ocean Street looking back at the house. Because the species selected would get to 8 to 10 foot max, which is well below grade of the house, the pool. But it would basically just mute out the solar array.
presumably without defeating the purpose of the solar array.
Correct.
Good. So the total square footage of the bed, which would either be a berm or amended soil, looks like, I don't know, maybe 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. Well, grading 1,000 square feet in the buffer zone is a major no-no. And I would also argue that wood chips are inappropriate in an area subject to flooding. Despite, I know you have good reasons botanically for these things, but for my money, we would urge you to find species and a planting method and a method of inhibiting weeds and retaining moisture that is more consistent with the habitat and the needs of the resource.
So the plantings that
Yeah.
were chosen are native to the area, and
Yeah.
so
They should like it there.
yeah, so they would succeed if they're planted in this area.
In terms of the application of wood chips at the base of the planting, I just find it aids in the success rate of establishment.
Yeah, no doubt. Aside from the change in grade, the berming, I have no objection to this. How do others feel? David, how do you come out on this?
Steve, I think in the big picture of this property and this project, 10-inch berm is insignificant, and it will help in the nurturing of the plants that are designed for this project. I don't understand the objection, to tell you the
We
truth.
have seen dozens of projects, many of them done by DeRosa, that involve extensive planting in similar situations on Proctor Street, on Masconomo, elsewhere on Summer Street. And this is the first time that somebody has said that a berm is necessary, until this evening when Chris said there are alternatives. So I'm not persuaded. And as far as I'm concerned, this is a slippery slope. If we allow a 10-inch regrading of the buffer zone under an RDA, for heaven's sakes, of 1,000 square feet in the buffer zone, we might as well hang up our skates and go home.
Well, Steve, do I need to remind you, didn't we rebuild a berm on White Beach?
That was a coastal dune structure berm. It had habitat and storm prevention features. This is the exact opposite. This is a habitat disturbing feature.
So this would be improving the habitat because we would be introducing new species that are native, and that would
Yes, but
benefit the native bird
the berm is not
population.
the berm is not indispensable to what you're doing.
So Steve, when
Yeah.
I read the regulations on what our role is to protect the marsh, which is downstream, and the functions of the marsh, and I personally don't think that this berm, which will add soil and allow the shrubs to have a better chance to survive, I don't have a problem with this project.
Great. Gordon, Henry, you have your hands up. I'd love to hear others.
Go ahead, Gordon.
Yeah, I guess my biggest concern with the berm when we were at the site visit was it just felt like a lot of water would be channeled to the top right of this drawing, which is sort of downhill. So I had concerns about, water coming down the hill, hitting the berm and running off to the north, and then causing additional erosion at that top right corner. So if we could minimize the height of the berm, if we could create channels in it to allow for water to flow downhill, I think I'd feel a little better about it. But those were my concerns. And we also did notice a spot to the lower left where there's a drainage outfall pipe somewhere around there that seemed to have a fair bit of erosion happening. And I don't know if we can incorporate any taller grasses or any, I don't know what the commission feels about that as part of this, just to sort of make sure that that doesn't continue to erode there. Those were my sort of two comments. Henry, go ahead.
Thanks. I think Chris gave us the answer to the problem, which is that they're able to amend the soil and plant at grade. And I'll just remind everybody,
Yeah.
humans have been planting plants at grade for several thousand years, and it's doable thing. It's very
Yeah.
doable. So we'll just we are able to condition no berm. I think we should approve the invasives removal and the plantings in front of the array, and let's move on.
But Henry, he also requested a serious amount of wood chips in order to nurture these shrubs. So,
Yeah.
are we okay with that? Steve doesn't seem to be okay with the wood chips.
Well, I mean, the wood chips are going to wash away pretty quickly. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a steep slope.
That's not a reasonable strategy, but if Chris thinks it is, sure.
And one thing to note is, from my experience using wood chips in a lot of our plantings, they capture soil moisture and reduce the need of any irrigation. So we use wood chips extensively for that reason. And that my intent is not to be irrigating this new planting. One, because it's native, and two, because it would be heavily wood chipped in.
Thank you. Yeah, Olga, I was just kind of channeling your opinions about Ancient County Way or whatever that was, where somebody had put all the, in that case, bright orange wood chips on all their landscaping right by a brook. And I think you made the legitimate point that that's not a good thing to do that close to a resource,
Where
as
did
attractive as it may be.
just recently I heard there's a big difference between, and maybe Chris can answer that, between wood chips and bark mulch.
Sure. So aged wood chips would be from local tree companies, where they, including bark and wood and branches, chipped and aged, so with partial decomposition. Bark mulch, specifically in the landscape trade, it's primarily pine bark or spruce bark, where they, at the mill, they debark the logs, then they mill that down to grade, and then it's sold. So bark mulch is good for weed suppression, but not particularly nutritious, whereas aged wood chips are particularly nutritious. They don't have as good a weed suppression. And then in the landscape, you mentioned red wood chips, so that's dyed wood. And then also in the landscape, that's often, we don't use it, but there's the black mulch, which is primarily dyed wood again, and it just kind of choose your color, and people will die. But aged wood chips, it's all natural, no dyes, and it's from tree companies. Whereas the
And
bark
there's a,
mulch is not nutritious.
I believe they have a ample local supply of aged wood chips on this
Definitely.
property. Yeah. Just as a thought experiment, what would you think of putting raised beds here with a passage underneath them to allow the normal flow of stormwater sheeting off this hillside and floodwaters coming up? Hopefully not to it, but probably some days.
I mean, that would be fine. Could we simply put raised, let's say 10-inch raised beds with, let's say, a break in it every 10 to 15 feet south of the array. So there'd be almost a prominent channel.
Just literally raised beds with a void underneath them.
Oh, okay. So construct something instead of just laying soil on the grass.
And my concern is the stability, and I know this is a man-made regraded slope, but it's been there a while, and seems to me we have a stake in preserving the status quo for whatever habitat's established there. Well, I've used too much of your time. Any other comments from the commission?
Steve, I personally would just much rather see it planted in the ground than a raised bed, but at grade level, like Henry was suggesting.
Yeah, as would I. It's a thought experiment. David?
I think I think any additional questions have just been answered. I never did hear a response from Chris to Gordon's very astute question about water flow with a berm. What was his plan to handle that?
So here, and that's, well, I guess I didn't assess in terms of how much capture of rainflow is coming off this solar array area. I mean, in essence, I didn't expect a lot. And if anything, the berm would kind of capture the water, which actually would, in essence, with the conjunction with the wood chips, it would hold it like a sponge, promoting the planting. And yeah, I saw that to be minimal ultimately.
Or it might erode rather rapidly if there's a significant amount of water sheeting off. The hillside is steep going down from that in-ground pool to the solar array and continuing down to the proposed bed. So water isn't just kind of trickling off it, it's probably sheeting pretty fast. Any public comment on 355 Summer Street? I am hearing none. So, someone have a motion in mind here?
Sorry, Steve, before we close, I guess I'm still curious about that outflow pipe. Is that something that the commission feels should be addressed? And if so, would the applicant be willing to do something? I don't know if crushed rocks are appropriate or some tall grass or what makes the most sense there.
Where's the outflow from? Where's the water coming from?
I don't know. That was outside the scope of my focus for the
Yeah, it
project.
looked more like some ancient storm drain, Olga, than roof leaders. But it's hard to tell. And to Gordon's point, some stone to break the velocity and prevent it from scouring right below that is probably a quick and easy solution.
Yeah.
I'm sure the
Maybe the
applicant
folks
would
from
be fine
DeRosa.
with that.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Thanks for reminding us. Now, does
Steve,
anyone
this
have a
isn't-
motion in mind?
Well, this is an RDA, right?
This is an
Correct.
RDA.
And we haven't discussed about the invasives removal, but can we issue negative determinations for the invasives removal and positive recommendations or negative also for plantings, and then just condition the berm? Is that how that would work? How would that vote work?
I think so. Bethany, would that be kosher to say that
Sure.
we issue a negative determination with conditions?
Yes. You can add conditions to a negative determination.
Right.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion that for 355 Summer Street, we issue a -2. Is it -2 and -3, Bethany? I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
Because it's in the area and the buffer zone. Yes.
Yep. For 355 Summer Street.
A second.
With any conditions?
Yes, can we do that at the end or now?
No, I think we have to do that as a motion.
No.
We don't return to this. It's a one step. It's not a
Now.
three-step.
Okay, got it. So one condition for sure is no berm, that all plants are, that the soil may be amended, but plants are planted at grade.
What about wood chips?
I
Acceptable?
have no opinion about wood chips.
As long as they're not dyed orange or brown, I'm
If
okay
we're
with them.
taking depth, then we've got to keep it moist. So
Why don't
I
we,
think we
let's do, yes, I agree with Olga. Let's do this. Let's allow wood chips from the site to be moved from one location to the new plantings,
Can I
but no new wood chips.
Can I make a note on that? The wood chips that are on site do have Japanese knotweed present. And I don't think it's enough volume for the application.
Yeah, we don't want to introduce knotweed, so
Absolutely
get-
not.
Well, they have plenty. So, okay. Is everybody good with up
Yeah.
to a 3 to 4 inch layer of non-stained natural wood chips? Locally
Yes.
sourced wood chips?
Is that,
Sounds
Chris, 3 or 4 inches is enough?
Yeah, the thicker, I mean, when we're planting, we're almost up to 5 to 6 inches on top. Let's say between 4 to 6, and then we peel it away from the stem so that the stem doesn't rot, and it's kind of just this little diaper that kind of sits over the root system. But we can reduce that to 4 if the commission's more comfortable with that.
Great. Let's go with a 4-inch, up to a 4-inch addition of locally sourced, non-stained wood chips.
Partially decomposed, yes.
Wow.
And
It
can
be
we
fresh.
ask them to follow best practices in a little remediation of that outfall pipe?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Any
is there
other
a second to that?
conditions?
Second,
Thank you. All those in favor? Gordon,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Olga,
aye.
Henry,
Aye.
and I am an aye too. It's unanimous. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 2 requests for certificate of compliance. One is for Tappan Street, DEP file 39-844. This will be an invalid certificate of compliance as no work was done, leading to this latest NOI. Anybody have any questions about that or want to discuss it in any way, or can we just go to vote?
Just go to vote.
Motion, please.
Motion to issue and what do you say, non-valid certificate
Invalid COC
Perfect.
for
for 390844 Tappan Street.
Second that.
All those in favor, Olga,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Gordon,
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
I'll make that unanimous, which brings us to a CFC for 1 Beaver Dam Road, DEP number 39-837. This was construction of a new storage facility, site grading, removal of existing storage trailers, installation of a driveway and parking area. Work was within the 100-foot buffer zone to BVW. Is anybody here to?
Yeah, Tim is here. Tim Brady.
Oh, good. Perfect. Good evening.
How are y'all? Taylor, are you good to go?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Taylor Dowdy with BSC Group, representing Tim Brady and Calvin Properties. If I could share my screen, if that's okay. I think if I'm Tim, I know Tim walked the site today with Bethany. Went over the original plan that was permitted back in 2001. Which you shall see. Of course, there we go. Sorry. There we go. This is the original as permitted plan on Beaver Dam Road. This is kind of right behind and off to the left of the old Manchester Athletic Club. This yellow building is the new storage area that Tim had proposed at the time. This area in gray, we're returning it to natural conditions. This is all within the 100-foot buffer zone. And all this was kind of pavement and had a bunch of storage containers like trailer trucks of storage containers. All that was restored to original conditions. And then what we have here, I can show you the drone view of what was built. You can see this is a different scale, but this is the building that was built. What is in red is the edge of pavement line that was permitted back in 2001. And what you can see now, all this area, Tim decided not to pave. So it's actually, we're a little bit over 2,000 square feet more impervious area, more pervious area than what was permitted in 2001. So we think this is, we think this is a win for everyone, for Tim, for his operations, and obviously for the town of Manchester. So
Is he
we
looking for a gift card?
Not looking for a gift card, but that was I caught that in that earlier hearing. That was good. So we humbly ask for a consideration of a certificate of compliance.
Okay, and the rest of it was done in substantial compliance with the order?
That's correct.
Good. Any comments from the commission?
That's good.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right, let's have a motion to issue this with a gold star.
I'll make a motion that we
I'll move
issue
that we issue a certificate of compliance for 39-08371 Beaver Dam Road with a gold star.
Seconded by Mr. Lumsden.
Thank you all very much.
All those in favor, Gordon?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Olga?
Aye.
Henry?
Aye.
And that, I'll make that unanimous. Thank you, Taylor.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Excellent work.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Good night.
Come back early and often.
Yes, sir.
Now we will close our public hearing and move to discussing conditions for the 3 NOIs we closed tonight. Let's start with 44 Norwood, 39-937. Bethany, do you have a draft or should we just, yeah, you do.
I have a draft. It's like kind of, I'll probably have to rework it because it's been lingering for a while in my files.
Yeah,
But
they collect a lot of barnacles when you do that.
yes, it's been lingering in my files for a bit, so I'll probably have to clean it up a little bit. But overall, it's like pretty much complete. I added, Henry mentioned about, hold on, on special conditions that about the rainbow smelt migration in Sawmill Brook. So I added in special conditions, no work shall be conducted in Sawmill Brook during rainbow smelt migration or spawning season.
Good, and I like the one before it. Because with this kind of property so close, just almost in the brook, you have to be very careful not to have nails and shingles and all kinds of other stuff fall in the brook. So in addition to erosion control, I would strongly suggest we have something that says some kind of best practice of netting to capture that stuff. When we had a project done on a property on Brook Street that had virtually the same proximity, it was a little further away. They were repairing the roof, which involves, pulling out all the shingles and nails, putting on new shingles. And they put out a, 8 or 10 foot net along the edge of the property that hung from the gutter, was supported by some poles, temporary poles, and it caught all of that debris.
Yeah.
It seems like it'd be a good case for something like that to preserve the brook.
Yeah, they can wait for off scaffolding.
Yeah, you could basically support it on the other side of the brook.
Yeah.
The other major concern is that the structure, come off as planned and not be increasing the load on that old wall on the brook.
Yes.
And I think maybe that would require something in pre-construction where the structural engineer does a final review and signs off, because these plans may, there may be some change when they go through the building permit.
It's a good suggestion, Steve.
And then maybe a a construction visit by the engineer and a letter at the conclusion saying, yep, it happened.
Pre and
What are
post.
you suggesting? What should
A
I
pre-construction
review with a
review with a letter back to us from the
reconstruction?
structural engineer saying, these final plans, I've reviewed them, and in fact, they do not increase the load on the old stone wall on the brook.
Along those lines, Steve, in our sometime in the distant past, which this discussion has gone on forever and ever, someone in our committee had recommended that we have a bond posted to ensure that if there is a collapse of the wall, that bond would cover the repair or remediation. Does that seem cruel and
It was
abusive to
Jim's-
you all, or does it seem
It was-
sensible?
It was Jim's suggestion.
Yeah, it was a good one, I thought.
It's not crazy at all. I'm not sure, since the town wouldn't be doing the repair. I'm not sure how that would work exactly. You've got, essentially, you'd ask the owner to escrow some funds, a bond or some funds, to be used exclusively for that purpose in the event that the wall began to collapse. Frankly, I think if the wall collapses, there are going to be bigger problems on that property, because it will be carrying a good deal of load, as it is now, from the south side of the house.
Well, there'd be huge problems, not only for the property owner, but potentially for the town. That wall is so massive and so tall, it could create a dam. And there's a lot of water that comes through that stream, especially this time of year.
Yep. Yep, and we know what happens when that culvert gets blocked off, because that was what happened in the Mother's Day flood.
Right. So I would ask Bethany, does that seem like that's something that is within the jurisdiction of the Concom to impose a bond during the construction period of a substantial
David,
amount of money?
Do you think an insurance policy could be written that would cover that?
We're asking you, Bethany.
Is Mark still on the call?
Yes,
We need some.
I'm still
We
here.
need the voice of experience here, Dr. Resnick.
I'm not the doctor here. I think there's a few others. But I'm not sure. I'm trying to think. I mean, in planning for subdivisions and some site plans, you do require bonds, but those are more for performance. You would not generally go onto the property and complete something if it was on a private site, unless it was for a roadway. You would work within the right of way, pull the bond and complete the road. But here, this is on somebody's property. You could require a bond. So if something does happen, you can clear the stream, and there's a cost to that to remove the debris. That might be a possible thing you could do, so that you could just bring a contractor in under an emergency, hold an emergency meeting and authorize them to do something with some conditions. But so that's a possibility. I mean, of course, you can have a bond in place to ensure that the owner does that. So if he doesn't, you can pull the bond. And that's why planning boards hold bonds for subdivision roads, et cetera, to make sure they get completed. So you could hold the bond. And again, I don't know whether the act allows you to do that, because that's more of a conservation thing, but I mean, it would, from a performance perspective, you could require one for something like that. It might make sense.
Yeah, my hesitance is similar to yours. It feels a bit like the power to levy a tax, which we clearly don't have. Whereas requiring, appropriate insurance against that particular risk, that's just something the owner would have to negotiate with the insurance company.
Well, I don't know whether, yeah, that's a different issue, whether you want to, I don't think you can require the owner to carry additional insurance.
Okay.
I don't think you
Yeah,
can do that.
It does seem like a stretch.
Yeah, the only thing perhaps if the Wetlands Protection Act allowed you to require performance bonds, or your local bylaw did, then that might be something you could do, just to ensure that if in the case of a catastrophe or something, you had the ability to require and or do it yourself, clear the brook. But I don't know whether the act allows you to do that.
Other opinions about that or other conditions?
Oh, Steve, I just Googled it and it says, yes, a Massachusetts Conservation Commission can require a performance bond, cash, or a letter of credit for projects to ensure compliance with permit conditions. While emergencies under CR, under 310 CR 10.06 allow for expedited, often verbal authorization to abate hazards, commissions may still require specific information, such as a scope of work and site map, etc., before approving the emergency. So in other words, we can require a performance bond for the project to ensure compliance with the permitted conditions.
David, was there a section that it cited in the 310 CMR?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's 310 CMR 10.06.
I would just want to confirm that.
Why don't
And
you
not
do it
rely
right
on
now?
the AI
Yeah.
summary. Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
I'm just looking through our bylaws, which are written up to allow performance bonds, but those things, disappear when the project is complete. This one would have to run considerably longer, right?
Well,
That section 10.06 is about emergencies.
Right. Right. That's what we're dealing with. And Steve, I don't know if it would be fair to ask somebody to hold a bond on the property itself indefinitely, but certainly during the construction period, that sounds sensible to me.
It's clearly within the power of the planning board under our bylaws. Surety bonds, performance bonds can be by phase or for the whole thing. And the purpose would be if, the wall begins to crack and settle.
Or worse,
as construction proceeds. The town can use the bond to do the repair.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. If that wall collapses,
that's not my understanding of how a performance bond works. for in this given situation. So like the town, so any of our utility projects and our contractors, we require payment and performance bonds. Performance bond basically just if the contractor defaults, allows the town to go out and hire a contractor to complete the scope of work. Whereas I think
Right.
like in this situation, I would see this more as an insurance issue. And it'd be the homeowner's insurance, like just looking at it from our side. Maybe it would fall under builder's risk, but that's again kind of more on the actual scope of the work and not a failure of existing. I guess if someone else's property were to fail, because there's plenty of examples, how would that be handled? And I think it would be handled through the town, through the insurance. I guess would be my take on it. My 2
That's
cents.
helpful. Thank you. Thank you, Nate. I'm just looking at the planning boards. As I said, the planning board is the one that explicitly gets the right to issue performance and surety bonds. And section 10 of the zoning thing says that if the planning board sets up inspections, an initial site inspection, an erosion control inspection, backfilling or burial inspection, and a final inspection, says if the stormwater management system is found to be inadequate by virtue of physical evidence or operational failure, even though it was built in accordance with stormwater management plan, it shall be corrected by the permittee before the performance guarantee is released. If the permittee fails to act, the town may use the surety bond to complete the work. So this would be an analogous situation, and it would require that a final inspection show that the wall is stable and properly loaded.
I wouldn't impose a minute inspection of the wall to looking for slight shifts in its stability, but I would be very concerned about the collapse of the wall and the problem with the water backing up as a consequence.
Right, we've got a relatively new school just upstream. I don't know, we're on unfamiliar ground here. There's nothing in the bylaw that authorizes us, the Concom, to do this. And I don't know whether we can act absent a bylaw provision like this.
Right, it might be outside of our regulations.
Yeah.
Google says that the commission may require a performance bond as part of a permit or order of conditions to guarantee.
David, I don't find that in the bylaw, so I don't know that we can trust that unless we can put our hands on the actual.
Well, it could be in the Wetlands Protection Act. Did you say, David?
That's where I was looking. This 310 CMR.
Yeah, that's what they quote. 310 CMR 10.06.
That's
just all about what happens when there's an emergency and how we act to approve work. It's not about preventing emergencies.
Does it mention bonds, performance or surety or other kind?
I cannot find bonds. The only mention of insurance is related to flood insurance program. So I've been trying to search through it.
Yeah.
If I don't know if we have time to research this further before we finalize things.
Well, then there's also the question of practicality. I mean, if this cost an extra $100,000, it would be an unfair burden on the property owner.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have any idea what
our ever asking for a bond?
No, I don't think we have.
No.
And there's been work done on those walls, right? In the brook in the past.
Yeah. Way back when, I remember discussing it when we were discussing the work on Smiths Point Road by Shirkan Hamid. but we didn't impose anything. We just, Steve Demeter brought it up as a what if.
Steve, can we leave it as at its discretion, the Conservation Commission may request per section, whatever, some type
A
of
bond, yeah,
bond or
a bond
surety or
sufficient
whatever
to,
it's called,
yeah.
and leave it
That's
at,
probably safe because the next thing we have to do is talk to town council.
Right.
yeah, we can't, yeah, obviously we can't do it before that, and we need this tonight.
So
Yep.
just for your notes, Bethany and Gordon, according to this, the key bond imposition details, according to Google, are to be found at 310 CMR 30.411 and 30.908. So if we have a little more time,
Okay. Yeah.
maybe those might be the places to look.
And that doesn't appear to be in the document that I have, so maybe we need to look further on the DEP website or something like that to find that.
Yeah,
So
this one
Bethany, why
sounds
don't you
like
put a placeholder there for tonight, and
Yep.
we'll,
Yeah.
is this one of those
so
21
something like
day deals?
at its option, the commission may require a bond.
Do we have 21 days to finish this?
Yes, unless
Yes.
Nick gives us permission.
Right.
Yes.
But if we put in something suitably vague, granting us permission, like at its option,
Yeah.
the commission may,
What should I write?
at
Sorry.
its option, comma,
Oops. Sorry. Why is the cap lock so?
fix the spelling later, comma, the commission may require a bond for successful completion of the project.
To ensure successful completion.
Yeah. There you go. With specific reference to the loading, with specific reference to the old wall, load-bearing wall, armoring the brook, alongside the brook. The load-bearing stone wall, yeah, got it, armoring the brook, we got it. Back to 30, we definitely armoring the brook, yeah. On 30, we need a pre-construction review with a letter as a result to us about the load-bearing calculations.
Okay.
And then we need a final review by the same structural engineer with the same thing, submitting a letter saying, yep, it worked, it looks stable, and as best I can determine as an engineer, it's bearing the same or less load. You can just put in same for final review after construction completed.
Same for post-construction.
Yep.
Wait, I'm confused. Oh,
How about just right at the beginning, pre-construction and final reviews shall be conducted by a structural engineer.
okay.
Well, submitted to the commission regarding findings, both pre-construction and post. Anything else specific to this site? And didn't want to limit 28 to a major storm event. I think it's just a good practice to catch everything that comes sliding off the roof of the house.
Yeah, I'll just do the site shall be secured.
Yeah.
You know, Steve, just for your information, if you take a drive by there, there's at the gutter at the top of the house, there's an extended pipe right now that feeds the water runoff from the gutter right to about the middle of the brook.
I believe he said he was
Yeah.
going to change that to
Mm-hmm.
to catch
Directed
things
into this dry
in the
well,
dry
yeah.
well,
Yeah.
which I'm happy to
Well,
see.
David, that's what the town does with everything that falls on the streets and the playing fields and everything else. So we just send it right into Sawmill. And I'm sure we're not going to have time to get into this tonight, but the Board of Health at some point is going to see the findings of the water quality study done by Salem Coastal Sound Watch, which are pretty alarming with reference to Sawmill Brook and Wolf Trap Brook, meaning bacterial levels are off the charts in both of those at all locations, at all dates measured, way
Wow.
above maximum standards for safe swimming. And
Wow. That
so
did not used
whatever
to be
else
the
you do,
case.
don't drink Sawmill Brook or the harbor, the inner harbor particularly.
Wow.
I
You
used
know,
to let
when
my
we
kids swim in the inner harbor.
when we first moved to town, Sawmill Brook had live trout, and people would fish right behind my former house on Night Circle, and the water was very clean.
Yeah.
There were frogs, tortoises, dragonflies, you know, which are indications of the quality of the water. You don't see those there at all anymore.
No, we're seeing these high enterococcal bacterial counts, which are evidence of nutrient
Mhm.
loading of the brook.
Any other conditions you want to add to 44 Norwood? I know Nick has his hand up. I know it's not public, but if he
Yeah,
has
we should
any-
probably hear him because we're
Yeah, it's his project. Yes.
Nick,
Nick?
unmute yourself and tell us what's on your mind.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood. There was a comment just made on roof drainage. And I had stated that collection was going to be made for the horizontal addition and all existing drainage. The existing drainage to the that goes to the side of the brook was not proposed to be changed.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. So that'll still run off the roof into the brook?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, can we just declare victory and move on to our other two OCs?
Just for Bethany, I assume there's the typical types of conditions around fertilizer use,
Yes.
like that on the rest of the property.
Yeah.
Yes, you
And
just
storage.
have to. I just
Yeah,
have to
all of
like
it.
aesthetically
Okay.
make it look
Thank
a
you.
little nicer. Yes.
Yeah.
It's just been kind of hanging out in the files for a while.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Bethany. Let's move to Tappan Street, 39-948.
Are you gonna
Should we
vote for
vote on
this
this?
tonight? Yeah.
No, sorry. Yeah, that's a good idea. We do that, don't we? Let's move. Somebody move these orders. This condition.
I move we accept the orders of condition for 44 Norwood Ave as written.
Second?
Seconded, Henry.
Thank you. All those in favor? David?
You're gonna ask me first?
Nah, Gordon.
Aye.
All right, Henry.
Aye.
Thank you. The ice is broken. Olga,
Aye.
Gordon,
Aye.
David?
Well, now it might as well be an aye.
That's good politicking. Thank you. And I am an I as well. Boy,
Thank you,
it'll be a
Nick.
pleasure to see him start. Tappan Street, any specific, special, or perpetual conditions here?
Yeah, for some reason they deleted it, so I had to like find it again, but I did find them again.
Neat.
Just for some reason they were missing. I used a lot of the old order of conditions that was invalid as reference. Okay, I feel like there still could be applicable.
Yeah, I don't think much has changed.
No.
Although now they are moving that old drainage pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Where have you got special and perpetual?
Mm-hmm.
There's special. No change in finished grade, no increase in width. Stockpile materials on trucks. Looks good to me. Stream crossing, C Street. What does that mean?
It was I think it might have
Oh, yeah, that's the culvert next to the railroad that qualifies as an intermittent stream.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it when they developed that pork chop on C Street. Those look fine to me. Any suggestions from others?
Nope, looks good.
You want to see the
Okay.
perpetual conditions? Anyone?
Let's look at perpetual.
Not a lot.
Simple. Easy peasy.
All right, I'm going to move we accept conditions as shown for DEP 0390948 Tappan Street for Manchester by the Sea.
Second.
Good. All those in favor? Olga?
Aye.
Gordon?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Henry?
Aye.
I agree too.
Awesome.
And our last one here is 2 Old Neck Road.
Hold on.
Kim Cafferty.
I used the old one for reference. I know
good.
David was asking about that.
Yeah.
It's
That was a brilliant question, by the way, Henry, about do you get a gift card if you do enough mitigation in advance?
Still seems odd to me, but okay.
Look at the list of conditions we gave these people initially. We really had quite a long list for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're going to use rice gravel.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I was glad they put the monuments up along the borders. Remember that?
I added like
Yep,
a little
they-
picture for you guys to see them.
They did a nice job. I love that picture. It's like a charming little sign. And, frankly, not everybody needs an outdoor pizza oven, so I'm glad they pulled that back in.
I agree.
Any other questions on these?
Nope.
I'll make a motion that we approve the order of conditions as written for 039-0949.
Mm-hmm.
2 Old Neck Road.
Second?
second.
All those in favor? Gordon?
Aye.
Olga?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Henry?
Aye. Grumble.
Not sure how to record that vote. And I'm an aye without the Okay, minutes for review, 317. There's a few little changes. I did manage to get on SharePoint. I just had
Hooray.
to install a new browser and leave my beloved Google Chrome behind. First, in the third paragraph, it says roll call was taken with all members present, and then it lists 6 of us, which means Jeff wasn't there. Actually, Gordon wasn't there either. So,
yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us.
Has anybody talked to Jeff? But whether he wants to stay on the board.
He'd love to try. He's just, his situation. He's being victimized by years of medical intervention that's coming back to haunt him.
Okay. I think that, and I love him, but I thought there was a regulation as to a limitation of the number of meetings you could miss if you're on one of these committees.
There is. I can't remember what it is.
There is, and we're usually pretty generous, especially for illness.
Right.
Yeah. He has been reading his packet.
We've got folks waiting for us.
Yes.
Okay, now 2 paragraphs down on the paragraph begins, Chair Gang and Dr. Ottinger discussed their review of the structural engineer's letter. Next to last line, the conclusion was that it would not be. We can just get rid of the B. It would not. And then over on page 2, kind of in the middle, the paragraph that begins, Folds presented a detailed PowerPoint showing the project. That sentence ends with additional protection from sea level rise and climate resilience. You don't actually need protection from climate resilience. So we've got to do something to fix up that.
Sea level rise, period.
That would do it, yeah.
Anywhere else? Purple?
That was just me, a note to myself. No, I think everything else was good.
Okay. Save.
Olga, did you have anything?
I didn't. I didn't even see the ones that you saw.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm going to move we accept minutes from 3/17/26 as amended.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor, Gordon.
Don't know if I have
David.
to abstain. I did watch
Aye.
the video, but
No, I think you can vote.
You can vote.
okay, then yes. Aye.
Gordon, David,
Aye.
Olga,
Yes, aye.
Henry,
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. We have some other items here. 5 Kingsway preliminary discussion. I think we made some people wait 2 hours. So we should probably hear what they have to
I
say.
warned them. It would
Did
be
you?
a long one.
Well, we
Yes.
apologize anyway.
Yes.
And then we have to talk
He's
about
here.
33 Smith.
Ryan,
I am here, yes.
Well, welcome and tell us what's cooking on Kingsway.
I would love to. Am I able to share my screen, Bethany?
Yes, you should have permission.
Okay. Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Ryan McShara, and I am from Red Barn Architecture. We're located at 8 to 10 Martin Street in Essex, Massachusetts, and I'm here before you guys tonight to just have a preliminary meeting about work that we are performing on Kingsway. We are actually in the process of designing and building a home on this parcel here, which is number 5 Kingsway. And in order to get power to the site, we need to bring power from the north side of a bordering vegetated wetland here, through the wetland over a previously paved and built road and onto our site along our driveway. So I met with Bethany on site on Tuesday, 3/24, to just walk the site and go over it with her and kind of review the parameters of the project and what we need to do here. And her recommendation was to start with an informal meeting with you all, kind of socialize the project, talk about what we need to do, and go through sort of what next steps look like on our side in terms of applying for an NOI with you guys. So to zoom in on the parcel here, oh, and sorry, to give you guys a little bit of history. So Kingsway is part of the Summervale development. Permitting through the planning board started for that project, or this entire site back in the 08 to 010 period. And then they did receive a subdivision permit from the planning board in 2007. And then in 2019, they did the work to extend the pavement across the bordering vegetated wetland to be able to build number 1 and number 3 Kingsway, which are the 2 parcels that have been most recently developed as part of this subdivision. So to take you back to the overview map, that's these 2 new homes here. And the 2019 NOI, the roadway was already rough graded and built. And so what the 2019 NOI allowed them to do was to just extend the pavement across here. And then these 2 houses have been built in the last 2 to 4 years. So as part of that work, underground electrical utility was also delivered over to this side of the site. We have an existing transformer north of the bordering vegetated wetland. The wetland itself is occurring right here, passes through the shared driveway, which in this image, Summer Street is over here. You come up Kingsway, approach, come over the bordering vegetated wetland to number 1 and number 3 Kingsway. And this is the driveway to come up into our parcel. In 2021, the previous owners of 5 Kingsway, the Engdahls, came in front of you all to request permission to build the driveway on this parcel. That was accomplished through a request for determination of applicability, for which they received a negative determination. And so they barely extended the pavement and started to rough in the driveway here. The edge of the pavement right now is about here. And we'll be extending that pavement up and onto the site as we start to do our work for the project. So again, here tonight to start a conversation about getting power delivered from this existing transformer box back across the bordering vegetated wetland through associated buffer zones over to a handhold on our property or adjacent to our property, and then delivering it up through some of these bordering areas and then up to our site. So happy to sort of take first questions and lead you guys through some more of what I anticipate the scope of work to be. We anticipate cutting the pavement at a certain point, removing a bunch of the pavement, digging our trench to set our utility, and then coming back through and covering that up and repaving the road. We're not proposing to change any of the grades in through here, and we will just be replacing pavement in kind in areas that are already paved.
Nice. How do you handle the little bridge there?
So the bridge is actually occurring a couple hundred feet.
Oh, it's further down. Yeah,
to the
that's right.
south. Yep, exactly. So it won't be part of this part of the project.
Okay.
Well, I would ask the obvious question: how wide is the trench, and how do you expect to do the job, do the digging?
So the trench itself, we have to lay 4 3-inch conduits. It'll be about 30 inches wide and about 42 inches deep at its deepest points. And then we start to rebuild back up, set our conduits at a minimum of 36 inches below grade, and then backfill the hole and set the top of grade back to where it was originally. So as we start to perform this trench digging, we're hoping to do it in a single trench dig and pile our digging right next to the trench. And then we're also hoping to have an inspector along with us to be able to perform the work and then close as much of the work as practical and as quick a ability as possible. So at the end of the project is when we will tackle the repaving of the property. And so we'll do all the rough work, get everything covered, and then come back and do the finished work in one fell swoop.
Mhm.
Will there be
Steve, is
additional
this
work
something?
needed on your property that's subject to our jurisdiction?
The 100-foot buffer line is this one right here.
Mhm.
And so while the septic does come down nearby, it does not actually come in contact with the 100-foot buffer. We won't be proposing to remove any existing trees or vegetation. And with the overdig, even for the septic system, we should be able to stay clear of the 100-foot buffer. We're of course happy to, install erosion controls, leave them in place during the entirety of construction. And as we get more into understanding what, if anything, might be required down in this area, we will of course be back to you with possibly additional requests, but I don't anticipate any at this moment.
Okay. And not currently planning to pave further into that road or anything at this point?
This area will be paved, and when we get into the NOI, we'll be more clear about everything that's within buffer. But beyond that, we are hoping to do no more work in the buffer.
Okay.
And Ryan, is that actually a pond in that little elbow of the driveway?
So I believe it's a retention area. We've labeled it as pond because that's what it's been labeled on other plans. But it appears to be dug and man-made as part of the previous work.
Got it. So unless it's somehow begun functioning as a vernal pool, it's not a resource.
Exactly.
Good. This is helpful. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, if no other questions, I'll leave you to the rest of your program. We'll be back in front of you with a completed notice of intent and look forward to continued discussions.
Good. Timing? Do you have a sense of timing?
I will take a look at the application deadlines, but our intent is to be in front of you as quickly as practical from here.
Good. Good to know. Thank you for coming.
Excellent. Thanks for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Patience.
The next is some discussion of 33 Smiths Point Road, where we issued a cease and desist for water being pumped out of a basement or off roof gutters and flowing down and over, eroding the coastal bank. So, someone here on behalf of 33 Smiths Point Road tonight?
Yes, sir. My name's Carl Fumarola. I am the attorney for the estate that owns the property.
Excellent. Thank you for coming.
Are you looking for me to speak? I can give you a summary of where things stand. I didn't know if you had anything else to say before I spoke.
Well, we're curious what solutions are being considered. I know that the intent is to clean up the property and offer it for sale, which we would be, we hope we will not impede, but it's not in a state right now in terms of its discharge where we can just let it go. Do you know what kinds of solutions are under consideration?
Not yet. So it's my understanding that there was an issue with the water runoff relatively recently that was already addressed. I know that we have an engineer involved, he's a civil engineer, Thad Berry with ASB Design Group, and he was involved before, and he also has a meeting set up for tomorrow with someone from your office to go over the site and see what else can be done.
I'm not sure what you're referring to at the beginning of that statement, some water that has been dealt with.
Right. Yep. I understand that he did something in the past. I don't know when. I don't know many details about it. I assume he'll go over that tomorrow when he's on site with someone from your office. I know that just from speaking with him briefly, he said that the main issue is gravity. There's not too much more can be done before other than what they did. I don't know any details of that yet, but they're going to discuss it. He's going to look at it, and we'll do whatever we need to do to address it to your satisfaction.
Good. Yeah, certainly gravity doesn't discriminate among property owners, but lots of us deal with slopes and gravity in terms of retaining our stormwater, particularly when the destination it's moving to is a resource, as it is in this case, wetland resource. Any questions or comments from the commission?
Well, since we don't really know what's been done, I guess there's nothing we can do right now till we know more.
Hopefully we'll get some more information about that tomorrow morning. That's 10:30.
That's right.
Good. Bundle up. It's going to be chilly.
Yes.
Anybody else involved in this want to speak up? I appreciate you all coming. Karen, Ratushni's, Crosses, others. Okay, no worries. And should we assume that
we could say something? This is Vlad Ratushny and Lindsay Ratushny, 58 Masconomo. I'm not sure what was done because the most recent issue seems like it has gone on in the past, even before we bought our house. So it doesn't seem like this problem was mitigated in any successful way.
There's still hoses leading from the 33 down into our property, draining
Good
water.
point. Presumably we'll find out.
And then it seems like a French drain is the type of system that can be installed, but I can let you guys see what the best solution is. But it doesn't seem like the actual problem was mitigated.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Like the Ratushnis,
All right.
we have been aware of this problem for some time and have seen the Hodgins estate engage only in mitigation efforts to harm the neighbors' properties and harm the coastal bank. That would not seem to be consistent with being good neighbors or being in adherence with the laws. And we hope that Mr. Fumarola will be attentive to the adherence to the laws that for 22 years, the Hodgins estate and Mr. Hodgins personally have had no interest in attending to.
And recently, a tenant said that they would actually turn off the water pumps in the house to slow the water coming out.
Okay, that is mitigation, I guess.
Well,
Thank you.
it's still coming out, but they're pumping water out.
Yeah, less velocity. Well, hopefully we'll learn a good deal more tomorrow. That is 10:30, and I just wanted to check with Attorney Fumarillo and Karen Hess. Are members of the public, aka neighbors, invited to this visit? That would require a yes or a no from one of you.
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Site visits are open to the public at the option of the property owner. So I'm asking you, will you allow the neighbors to come and view it?
I don't know. No, not at this point. Especially because of some of the comments that were made by the Crosses. I think some of this problem that may be due to them making changes to their property outside of what's been permitted and allowed, namely constructing a wall along the property boundary that might be causing a problem with damming up water. I don't know. We'll see what the engineer and the commission's inspection reveals tomorrow.
Okay.
So
it sounds like neighbors, you'll have to remain on your own property. Thank you, one and all. Anything else from anyone? Good. Appreciate you coming tonight. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
The next lingering issue is about 7 Central Street, which Henry has reminded us of a number of times. Bethany or Mark, have you received any of the materials promised
No,
by the owner?
no. I've received nothing. And I did send a reminder email to Arthur asking for the materials.
To who?
Arthur, who I presume is Ed's son.
Oh, okay. Not familiar with him. Yeah, it's not a heavy lift, as I remember. It's documents they already have, like some of the
I know.
construction plans, planning board materials that they submitted. It's not like we're asking them to do something difficult. Well,
I'm
Commissioner,
wondering-
what would you recommend we do in this state? Because we're getting the cold shoulder from an applicant who was very willing to agree to these conditions as long as we stopped harassing them, as they put it.
Steve, can I make a suggestion?
I'm all ears.
Ed Flemia has a working architect in his office that handles many of these questions. I'm wondering, I have her name. The museum's been working with them.
Beatrice.
Yes. Have you
I
contacted-
messaged her and Arthur many times, believe me.
I
David,
believe-
I have asked many, many times. Believe me,
Yeah,
everyone.
we met Beatrice when we were
Yes.
going back and forth on this. She had just arrived to take on a new role here, and I think she's an attorney from Italy, not an architect.
She's
but
an
I could be wrong.
architect. She's an
She
architect.
is, okay.
Yes.
Fine. Well, there is a big cast over there, which just underlines my point. This is not a difficult ask. You got a lot of hands.
Yes. Beatrice is included in all my emails to Ed's son and everything because I consider my main point of contact.
Right.
Right.
Yes. And
Thank
I
you.
did ask, and I saw her in person when she picked up something different, and I did remind her. So I can only say so and ask so much, you know.
Yeah, I think at this point, the only thing we can do is keep some level of scrutiny on their observance of the conditions around the pond and the brook. And, tell them that any future applications are going to be dependent on fulfilling their existing obligations. Okay? Okay. Last thing is the beaver solution. Olga, you had?
I was just going to say, other than our becoming legalese in this, that's about all we can do at this point.
Yeah. I have no desire to call out the lawyers, and I'm sure the town doesn't want to
Deal
pay
with
for it either.
Yeah.
Right. The last matter was lingering from last time. It's about whether the Beaver Solutions bills had been paid and from what accounts. And I understand that Bethany has run this to ground.
Yeah.
She's figured it out.
Yes, so the work that has been done that was requested and talked about last year has been paid, so that's all set. And all that needs to be approved is the 2026 annual maintenance agreement, and I'll pull it up right now.
Yep, and they were not chomping at the bit. They're willing to wait.
Yes,
for
I
us to-
told them that they need to approve it at this meeting, and they're like, okay. So they seem very relaxed there. So it's this number, and Mark and I.
$2,500.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's our inventory of devices. That's getting pretty extensive.
Yes.
Well, move we approve the 2026 payment of $24.92 to Beaver Solutions.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? David?
Aye.
Olga?
Aye.
Gordon,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
and I'll make that unanimous.
Okay.
Okay. Other matters not foreseen when the agenda was prepared? Yay. Olga, you're on.
I move that we adjourn.
Thank you all.
Thank
Good
you,
work
everyone.
tonight. Thank you,
Thank you
Bethany.
all. That was a long one.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.